Hey, Wimpy here. Here's a build. It's a dex build, but it has a focus on pierce damage weapons and counterattack damage. So for those that don't know, counterattack damage is anytime you attack somebody that's in recovery. So they're starting an animation or they're finishing animation, they are vulnerable and they take a reduction to their pierce attack defense. You throw on the pierce talisman and a couple other talismans, and you can really stack how much damage you can do to someone in that specific scenario. And you'll see some examples in these invasions. So this was an invasion into 3 people. I managed to knock one off the ledge, which was pretty lucky. I am unaware that there's another person though. They're going to surprise me here in a bit. I swapped to the Lucerne, which, if you didn't know, does pierce damage. And you can also give it a thrust attack by putting more cry on it. So, yeah, this person scared me by popping up all of a sudden, so I'm getting out of there. Hopefully he stays busy with the PvE. So this guy makes a run for it. I can start to hear the other person catching up. So I swap to Sword Lance, and I swap to the Sword Lance because I have Troll's Roar equipped on it. Now, Troll's Roar is great for knocking people off ledges. It gets amazing hype armor, and it pushes them pretty far back. So, great little tool to have in your pocket. Eventually, I catch up to the host here. I'm not sure how we got here without aggroing the people inside the room, but he might have come from the roof and dropped down. But then, unfortunately for him, and fortunately for me, he did aggro people in the room, so this little area is going to be quite deadly. There you can see I managed to catch him with one of my R2s, and it does a lot of damage. If you are in air, if you're jumping, you are susceptible to taking extra damage, so just keep that in mind. This was a fun little invasion. I should really just name this Troll's Roar montage because it does really come in handy. It's worth keeping something in each build that can get you space or knock people away. Because gravity will kill people instantly. It doesn't matter what level they are. So we're both, I guess, trying to knock each other off. But luckily I win. And as you can see there, Troll's Roar can actually kind of go through corners and very thin walls. So it's worth keeping going. I see that the host and his other summoner are coming back up here to fight me as well, so I reset my position and get ready to do this again. So pretty cheeky. It doesn't kill them from this high up, but it does separate them, and sometimes that's all you need is to separate somebody from the pack to help out. Fortunately, they're starting to just reorganize here, so I head up hoping that they did not activate the boss, and they did not. He's having some fun spinning over there. So this is an interesting mage. I like their setup. They have a lot of annoying spells. They got these Rykard flame spell. But like most mages, they don't have a lot of health. And as you can see there, the gargoyle is chewing them up. It also hit me, which was that nice dodge there, you know. I had a feeling. Sometimes you get a feeling, you know. But I go for a follow-up R2 there. Not so lucky, but fortunately the gargoyle finishes him off. And here you can kind of see one of the benefits of this particular setup, right? There's a lot of damage, and if you hold R2 for the second bit, you get like a pretty long distance lunge. I mean, it's not super far, but further than you would expect. And I was able to kill that guy. This invasion here, I sent the elevator up because I didn't want them escaping. I learned pretty quickly that this guy is not to be messed around with. So even though I get a lot of hype armor from Warcry, it's not enough to not keep me stunned from a blood loss. Blood loss will stun you out of it. Go for some running R2s on the host. They're using Vike Spear. So go for another charge R2. You see I eat a bunch of damage there, but managed to also chunk him for quite a bit. The host is just spamming his weapon arm, so I go for a backstab. I go for another backstab here, but unfortunately I'm just not quite fast enough, or we got a little bit of latency. I'm gonna have to back up. So I have full faith in this Sanguine Noble as a co-invader. So really my job now becomes just keeping Summon busy. Summon cares more about me than helping out his host, so as you'll see here in a moment, host will die. But look at that bleed build up and damage. I would be curious to know what level this guy was. Oh yeah, guard breaking with a medium weapon from a medium jump attack, it's pretty insane. Here's the short sword. It has a unique thrusting R2, which is really slow and kind of hard to hit people with. I think this is my only kill with it, and it's on a wizard, which is not... Killing a wizard isn't a major feat as long as you do a little bit of damage. But there's an example of chanting through those R2s. This is a fun little group. It's another wizard and I guess in faith. That's the in faith sword. Maybe they have minimum requirements, but I'm not sure. Yeah, a couple of cheeky R2s here, but I need to lead because it's way too much spell spam. Need to regroup and get my bearings here. And as always, another useful tool to have in your kit is any of the ballistas. Here I'm using the Rabbith's, I think, ballista, which you can get in the DLC. It has some pretty aggressive tracking, like auto tracking, if you're close enough to lock onto them. I swapped to the Mesmer Spear with Royal Knight's Resolve. If you manage to land a fully charged R2 with RKR enabled, it will one-shot. But an advantage of RKR, as you see there, is that it lets you do more stance damage, which lets you break through shields a little easier. So here's the war pick. I don't think I end up using it in this invasion. These guys are just 3 guys standing around in the middle of nowhere with their buddies at Limgrave, so most likely gankers. I did see Nanaya's Torch there, which is a DLC weapon that causes madness buildup. So I have a plan here formulated. I'm waiting around long enough for them to see me, and I'm trying to get them over here to this area because it has a really large bottomless pit in a spot that you just wouldn't expect. And most gonkers don't really know about it. So I attempt to go for a jump here, but they knock me out of it because I'm getting hit by the rivers of blood there. And the dancer's knives there, which are pretty crazy. But you can also make the jump at an angle like this. And the reason you do that jump is because it's really hard to see from a certain angle. So there you go. GG's, guys. Try, just get good, you know? just get good at ganking. I don't know. This guy was fun. As you can see, he's also using the war pick. His are bleed infused. I think mine are just pure dex. Oh, by the way, the reason I'm using pure dex for a lot of these weapons, or I should say the dex infusion, is because you gain the most extra damage from the talismans I have from physical damage types. So if this was lightning, it would do more damage just for the normal hits, but for the counterattacks, it would do less. This is a counterattack build, so it's kind of the theme. Notice he also has Stormcaller on it. I have Stormcaller as well. This is a really good get off me tool. And as you can see there, it has a lot of hyper armor at the startup, so you can do it and not get staggered and then do damage to somebody else. Here was a fun little co-invasion. I came in right at the tail end of the other invader killing off the summon, so I go in here and at first I'm like, oh, maybe this is a traitor red or something, but no, it seems he just accidentally hit me. It happens. So I'm pretty content with just sitting at a sideline and watching him fight. I think eventually the host comes my way and throws a couple of attacks, so... Oop, or I just attacking him. It doesn't matter. Go for a guard counter there. It didn't work, but look at that damage. The R2 on this weapon has an amazing amount of hyper armor. So you can definitely trade with it and do a lot of counterattack damage. Here you go, there's a free aim R2. I unlocked and I tilted my stick to the right so I could catch him. And yeah, basically two-shot him. Here's a fun little invasion. One of the weapons I have in this build, since I can equip it, is Rakshasa, which is a really good weapon, gets a lot of hype armor, does bleed build up, does a lot of damage. It's a little overtuned in my opinion, but it's, you know, it's whatever. These guys were really, really hesitant to progress further. I think I cut like 30 minutes from this invasion. Eventually, I fell down, and so they were able to progress past the bridge, but I had sent the elevator up, so they had to call it back down again, and that gave me time to catch up with them. As you can see here, you can actually just spam this weapon art, and it does a shit ton of damage. But anyway, they get a bag for standing there for 30 minutes. This is not my paladin character. I don't have to act polite, you know? The Rakshasa also gets a unique R2, which is a poke, kind of like the Zweihander, and so that's also why I have it on this build too, because this build is about pierce weapons and counterattack damage. But charging up his R2, that was a mistake because it lets me hit my button. I'm hitting one button. Wow, what a game. What a game. One button gaming. These guys were also being passive. I don't want to passive players when I was searching for clips, but that's okay because this shows off just a really good reason to have this new jar cannon. It lets you hit people from really weird off angles that you normally might not be able to. As you can see there, that guy was kind of hiding behind a wall, but it didn't matter because it kind of curved around the wall, and the splash damage took care of the rest. So, yeah, really useful to have. Here's the war pick again. This is just a fun example of things to not do when somebody is attacking with this weapon. And one of those things is hit R1. There you go, the host is dead. But yeah, he hit R1, I think, and then when he got hit again, he tried to pivot and turn around and ended up dying. So here we go, Trolls Roar moment. I have a plan, I know what I want to do, now it's just getting them into position. So they have some cheesy little items there to kind of, you know, fill my screen with projectiles, but that's okay. You can just hide back here, right? This is pretty smart. That actually does go through walls, carrying grandeur, right? And so you can just roll it. And I was able to knock one off, get some free damage here, and then here you go, some verticality. These are actually a vertical game, like it or not. This is the final invasion, I believe. In terms of passive players, I think this was the one that got me to be like, all right, maybe I've played enough for today. Time to log off and edit the video. As you can see here, I am able to use a bunch of spells, like Bestial Vitality by Talisman Swapping, which is really useful. So I'm not really sure where they headed. I think they went upstairs. I circle around behind them and they were still sitting there waiting for me. So I'm guessing they wanted me to go in there and get ambushed, but it's not really a good idea to do that. And I didn't particularly want to do that. So anyway, now I'm behind them, but we're right back where we started, right? They don't really want to progress any further. It's understandable. But I also don't want to get blendered in an area with no enemies. So there's nothing wrong. I should clarify, there's nothing wrong with this playstyle, with them just standing around. Is it frustrating? Yes. You know, are they doing it on purpose? No, I don't think they're doing it just to be annoying. They're probably, they're doing it because it's efficient, right? And they don't want to die. Makes sense. But in that same vein, I feel like invaders get a lot of flack for hiding behind PvE. I mean, that's just part of the game. You know, if three people hit you with even the weakest weapon, you're going to take a lot of damage, you know? So why would you put yourself in a position where 3 people can gang up on you, or 2 people can gang up on you? You wouldn't, right? These guys don't want to give up an advantage, and you don't want to give up an advantage spacing-wise, so it's whatever. I swapped 2, the Great Katana because I have Sword Dance on this thing, and with 40 dex, this thing can absolutely one-shot you, especially if I threw on like Shard of Alexander, but I don't have it on right now. It's just good at cleaning up. Because these guys are so passive, I decided to do something I normally don't do, and that's use a rot grease item. This and poison is just really good at just chipping away. For certain levels, like if you're invading low level, it's particularly cheesy because you know that people aren't really going to have a cure for it. But at 80, most people have Flame Cleanse Me, or they'll have boluses, so it's not as big of a deal. But it does give you lots of pressure. Right? Go for a follow-up R1 there. Not hoping to get the riposte, but just hoping I can do some additional damage and build up on him. But I did not, and just a little bit of chip damage, that's okay. Here, he got caught in the sword dance and was finished off. Now, the Great Katana is not the best at applying statuses, and you'll see here in a minute I swapped to something better. Clean Rot. The Clean Rot sword is a thrusting sword, and thrusting swords when two-handed do so much poise damage. I forget what the break point is, but you basically have to be wearing a bunch of armor. Ooh, look at that space. So this thing is just really oppressive if the person doesn't have a lot of poise, right? If they continue to try to attack you while you're attacking them, you just keep priority, which means you'll just continue to be able to attack faster and stagger them before they can even get an attack off. So, as you can see here, I think he bowls this here in a second, so it's not... The rod really is, it's not as bad as if I had used this at low level or something. Here's some more, here's another spacing moment, look at that, just sidestep the unsheath. And here you go. I keep priority. One button gaming. Anyway, that's the build. Hope you enjoyed.